Okay, so get this. We're going to do a deep dive today on something I bet you've wondered about. Alcohol and blood pressure. I mean, come on, we've all been curious, right? Like, how much is really too much, and what's actually going on in our bodies after, say, happy hour?
Yeah, it's a question we get a lot, that's for sure. And it makes sense. There's tons of info out there, right?
Yeah.
Trying to sort it all out can get kind of confusing.
Totally. And you know what? Getting down to the bottom of this whole alcohol and blood pressure thing, well, we found some pretty surprising stuff. For instance, did you know that even routine drinking, like just having a drink or two regularly, it can actually up your blood pressure, even if you don't already have high blood pressure? I mean, I thought that only happened with, like serious drinking, not a casual glass of wine.
Yeah, a lot of folks think that it only affects people who already have a problem with blood pressure. But the thing is, even small amounts over time, it makes a difference.
Okay, so like what's actually going on in our bodies when we have that beer or cocktail? Can you break it down for us?
So in the short term, alcohol starts messing with these receptors we've got in our blood vessels, especially the ones near the heart. You can think of them like these tiny little gatekeepers, regulating blood flow and pressure, right? Alcohol comes in, throws those gatekeepers off, and that's why you might get that initial dip in blood pressure right after you take a drink.
So that's why some folks feel a little lightheaded at first.
Exactly. But here's the thing, that little dip, it doesn't last. Your blood pressure usually shoots back up, sometimes even higher than it was before.
Wait, so it's like a roller coaster? Up, down, and then higher?
That's a good way to put it. It can go on for a while, too, that roller coaster. We're talking up to 13 hours after your last drink.
13 hours? No way, I had no idea it lasted that long. What's happening during all that time?
Well, part of it's how alcohol messes with cortisol, our stress hormone. Drinking makes those levels spike, which means a faster heart rate and, yep, higher blood pressure.
Wow, so even when you're just chilling with a drink, your body's working overtime.
Pretty much. And that's just the short term, right? When we're talking about heavy drinking, that's where the real risks come in.
Okay, so someone who's having a bunch of drinks regularly.
Exactly. For them, there's a real chance of developing high blood pressure that just doesn't go away, which, as you can imagine, is a recipe for serious stuff like heart disease, stroke, even kidney damage.
So, more you drink, longer you do it, higher the stakes.
That's the reality, yeah. But there's good news, too. Our bodies are incredibly resilient. Even small changes, they can make a huge difference.
That is good to hear. But before we get to those changes, let's talk about this whole moderate drinking thing. The article we read said something like 1 drink a day for women, up to 2 for men. Is that like a magic number?
Well, it's not that cut and dry. Those are guidelines, but they don't tell the whole story, right? Everyone's different. We metabolize alcohol differently, and then there's genetics, your body type, even how much you usually drink. It all plays a part.
So, what might be moderate for one person could be too much for another.
Exactly. Like women generally process alcohol slower than men, so
Mm.
the effects last longer. And then there's genetics.
Wait, genetics. You're telling me my DNA influences how my body handles a glass of wine?
Yep. There are studies showing certain genes actually make some people way more sensitive to those blood pressure changes from alcohol. Yeah. One study even found 18 specific places in the genes of people of African ancestry that directly affect how their blood pressure reacts to alcohol.
Wow. So it's not just about willpower or making good choices. Our bodies are literally wired differently when it comes to alcohol.
That's right. That's why you got to pay attention to how your own body reacts and really work with your doctor to figure out what's right for you.
Makes sense. Speaking of individual responses, okay, get this.
Yep.
The article mentioned a study where non-alcoholic red wine actually seemed to lower blood pressure in men at risk for heart disease. And get this, regular red wine with alcohol, it didn't have the same effect. What's up with that?
Right. Seems kind of strange. We always hear about antioxidants in red wine being good for your heart.
Yeah, like the non-alcoholic one's the overachiever or something, right? So does that mean we should all ditch the regular stuff, go alcohol-free?
Let's not get ahead of ourselves. It's a cool study, sure,
Mhm.
but it's just one study. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We need more research to figure out if it's really doing that in the long run and if it works for women too. And even if non-alcoholic wine does have benefits, doesn't mean you can just drink it like water.
Moderation is key, even for the healthy stuff. Got it. Speaking of things that might not be so healthy, though, the article also talked about mixing alcohol with blood pressure meds. Apparently, that's a big no-no.
It can be really dangerous, yeah. A lot of those medications, they relax your blood vessels, right?
Mhm.
Or they help your body get rid of extra fluid. So you add alcohol on top of that, it can like supercharge those effects.
Yeah.
Suddenly your blood pressure drops way down, and that can be bad news.
So it's not like they balance each other out, more like they team up and go wild.
Yeah, exactly. We're talking maybe getting dizzy, fainting, even taking a spill just because you had a drink while on meds. And it's even riskier with certain blood pressure medications like, let's see, alpha blockers, nitroglycerin, there's beta blockers, diuretics.
Those sound familiar. I've seen those advertised on TV.
They're really common.
Hmm.
And that's why it's super important to talk to your doctor about, how much you drink, even if you don't think it's a lot. They can help you figure out if you're at risk and make sure you're being safe. You and your doctor, you're a team.
Right. Better safe than sorry.
Oh.
On a brighter note, though, the article mentioned that giving up alcohol, it can do amazing things for your blood pressure. Like some people see a difference in just 3 days. 3 days! That's incredible what's happening in those 72 hours.
It's amazing, right? Our bodies are incredible. That's all I can say.
Yeah.
They can heal, they can bounce back, even after, well, let's just say, even after years of not treating them so great. And, sometimes you need meds to get your blood pressure under control. That's true. But don't forget, lifestyle changes are powerful too.
So it's not just about popping a pill, it's about making changes you can actually stick with.
Exactly. And these changes, they don't have to be huge, crazy things either. Maybe you start eating more fruits and veggies, whole grains, that kind of thing. Get out for a walk every day, riding your bike, finding ways to manage your stress, like meditating, spending time outdoors. And of course, watching how much you drink. These are all things you can control, and they can make a huge difference for your health, blood pressure included.
It's about, like, taking control, making choices that are right for you. Not saying alcohol is always bad, but understanding how it works and making it fit your goals.
Exactly. Knowledge is power.
Yeah.
The more you know about alcohol and blood pressure, the more you can make good choices for yourself.
I love that. Knowledge is power. Right. We're not saying don't enjoy a drink, just, be smart about it. Understand what it's doing and make it work for you.
Totally.
Yeah.
And speaking of being smart, there's one more thing I think we should touch on. A lot of this research we've been looking at, it mostly focuses on how alcohol affects blood pressure physically.
The nuts and bolts of it all.
Right, exactly. But, what about the mental and social side of things? We all know stress can make your blood pressure go haywire. And, come on, a lot of social situations, they kind of revolve around drinking, parties, dinners, just unwinding after a long day. Ever notice how your drinking changes depending on who you're with?
Oh, absolutely. I'm way more likely to have that second glass of wine when I'm out with friends,
Yeah.
compared to when I'm just having a quiet dinner at home. And don't even get me started on the whole, pressure to keep up with everyone at some events.
There you go. It's not just about the alcohol itself. It's tied into everything else. Our brains, our friends, even just what's considered normal in our culture.
Yeah.
It all mixes together. And that affects how we are with alcohol, and that affects our blood pressure. It's kind of wild when you think about it.
Wow, never thought about it quite like that before. A whole other layer to this whole thing. This deep dive has been seriously eye-opening. I mean, we've gone from alcohol spiking blood pressure to how important it is to know your own body.
And how much even little changes can help, and why understanding the science is so important.
Absolutely. So to everyone listening, we hope you found this as interesting as we did. You're not in this alone, okay? Talk to your doctor, do some research, and most importantly, listen to your own body. Nobody knows it better than you.